Hello, this is Kitten from the Kitten and the Goat. I help people who knit, especially beginner knitters, cut through all the gobbledygook that's holding them back and get them actually making things and enjoying their hobby. This little video is part of our monthly virtual knitting club. Each month our members get a free pattern along with a video walkthrough of any tricky bits and a video to explain, debunk a myth, technique or trend. If you are new to us, we'd love to have you on our email list too. There's a link in the description down below where you can drop your email address. Today I'm going to change up the pattern for the little corn purse that was the free pattern in last month's newsletter. You can use this little trick for any project. It's a quick, easy way to change up an old pattern and add interest. So let's get on.
Down a little alley in the heart of Kendal town is a tiny independent yarn shop. Welcome to the wonderful world of the Kitten and the Goat.
The very easiest way to change the look of a pattern is to switch from garter stitch, which is what this is, where you work every single row is just a plain knitting stitch, to what we call stocking stitch, where you work one row of plain knitting and one row of purl stitch. So when you do a purl stitch, you're bringing the bump to the front of the work, and when you work a knit stitch, you're taking the bump to the back of the work. So by alternating the rows, you get a flat texture to your work, which is, you can see just starting to come there. All the bumps start to go on the back. So we can keep that pattern up. That's easy enough. There's also one or two other things we can do at the same time to make things look pretty. So I'm going to go off and find 2 more balls of yarn and let's see what mischief we can create. Got a nice bright happy yellow here. These are all double knitting 4mm needles. They're all acrylic. And we're going to join this in. Now, to join another colour, you don't have to do anything complicated. Make sure you're at the end of the row. And we did a purl row last time, so we're going to do a plain knit this time. And make sure you keep it tight. And that's it, you just start knitting and you've got in another colour there. Now we're going to knit to the end of this row and we're going to do stripes, and we're going to do the easiest stripes, funnily enough, is one row of each of 3 colours. Now, you just have to trust me on this because it works. You can of course make stripes of any colour, any 2, 3, 4 rows, however thick you want it. If you do it one row in 3 colours, you've got no big gaps of yarns coming up the side. You can do 2 rows of 2 colours and you have a little bit going up the side. Okay, there's our first one. Now that's a knit row, so of course we're going to do our purl row next. So again, make sure you hang on to tails there tightly with your thumb, and we're going to be doing our purl. Two rows of one of each of 2 colours. You've got a little bit of a tail up the side because you're going there and back, and then you're bringing the yarn up from the other stripe. Once you start getting into 4 or 6 rows of colour, you have to do something with the gap of the yarn up the side. So this little one is, and do you know, this is so effective. It looks like you've been so clever. But the 3 colours, 1 row of each, genuinely is the easiest one to do. So my needle's scratching on the desk there. It's hard to look through and see if it's filming it right. I worked the first bit of the purse where we did the increases as before, and I've just introduced the new colours. Right, there, you can see how we've got it flat now. And when you get to this end, all you do is drop that one, make sure that's tight and doesn't go away. You go back to this one and you knit along. You don't have to count the rows because you can see them. You can see each row is a different colour, so you can count them afterwards. And you can make a spectacle case to match your purse. Just keep going for however long your spectacles are. Put your zip in the top and you've got a nice soft case to keep your glasses in. That'd be fun. So we're pottering on here to the end of the row. I love working with colours. The easiest way to do this, just leave your tails loose and use them for sewing up the work later. In this case I'd probably tie them in a knot and then sew the tails in to hide them, because we're going to put gussets on the side of this, aren't we? Okay, so we're going to do our purl row next. When you get to this side, you've got one here ready to pick up, and every time you get to the other end there is a tail there waiting to come up. You've got a nice neat side with no gaps and no loops, and you've got the cutest little pattern. I'll do a few more rows and you can see how it looks once it gets a bit of body into it. Look how pretty that is, just with that simple little method of adding colour. And you could do all sorts of things. You could do stripes of stocking stitch and stripes of garter stitch in one colour and get much more depth and texture into it. You could do it all in garter stitch and put some cables up the middle. You could do basket weave. Possibilities are endless once you get some techniques under your belt. And don't forget, you could do that at the bottom of a jumper or at the end of a scarf. You can make it pretty like that. You can do that for any pattern at all. I've done the ribs, the contrast ribs there around the edge. Frames it like a little piece of work. So now you've got your purse. You can try it in different colours as well. See you soon.
Well, you can see how easy it is just to change a pattern to make a difference. If you work this pattern in 2 strands of double knitting on 6mm needles, you'll get a lovely matching makeup purse. If you're anything like me, you can't resist doing the whole matchy thing. I love all my bits and pieces to match. And once you start tweaking with a pattern, the possibilities are endless. This tote is actually based on the same pattern. It's super chunky on 9mm, and yeah, put a couple of cables up it, but it's the same background, it's the same trim. I made some I-cord handles. I'll do a video on that soon. It's lined, It's perfect. There's an A5 notebook with it. It's perfect for keeping your little bits and pieces in. So go and experiment, my people. Just experiment. Have fun.